I can't stand anymore where you can't be throwing out teams with third-string quarterbacks and backups left and right and everybody's missing. I mean, it's a joke what the product has become. And now you're seeing, again, as I just learned from Jerry, with the postponement of the Nets game. Again, I was thinking, the Nets finally be back in action. Well, no, that's not going to happen. We know the NHL, with their little shutdown and not going to participate in the Olympics, is likely the official announcement will come down with that. So a lot of the sports world is COVID impacted right now, except for Buck. And I'll just give, and we'll take your calls on it to hear your calls react to Buck. I know it was a lot of yesterday, but like we said, I had 2 seconds, it seemed, to react to that thing after we gave you all the sound yesterday from that Buck Showalter Zoom conference. 877-337-6666. So the most important thing for me, and in the beginning of that press conference, it was exactly what you'd want to hear as a Met fan. That's what a real manager looks like. That's why you're in love. And I'm thinking, like Will Ferrell and Elf, I'm in love and I don't care who knows it. That's a real manager. But a couple of the key points. The main thing to me was Buck talking about accountability, and he will hold players accountable. That is something that was not there with the Mets last year. That is something, you've seen it in the Yankee organization, even with the rookie manager and Aaron Boone when he first took over. That organization holds players accountable. And the Mets didn't do that. There was no, I know they had, Cohen takes over and Alderson, owner, president, whatever. But I'm talking about general manager on the field, in that clubhouse. Who is holding these players accountable last year? That was a big reason to me for their failures. And now there is a clear leader, a guy who will hold these players accountable and put them in a position to succeed. Who will benefit the most from that? Probably Francisco Lindor, who was maybe not a disaster last year, but very close to it. It was not pretty for Francisco Lindor in year one. And a lot of it had to do with the nonsense off the field. Performance-wise, he's got to be better. We know that. But I believe it comes from the other stuff, the pressures of New York, starting out slow, not handling the booze properly, not knowing which way to go, the thumbs down crap, the rat and the raccoon, choking out his teammate and Jeff McNeil. Those were big issues that a real manager, not Luis Rojas, a real manager will nip that in the bud. And as Buck said yesterday, what you'd like to do is be proactive as opposed to reacting to it. You don't want to be reactive and then, this happened, and now this happens with the thumbs down issue and everything else. You want to make sure you get that before those problems come up. And that is something that Buck Showalter will be working on, I'm sure, going back to spring training. And I loved hearing him talk with Carden Roberts yesterday, talking about, there are 4 times that you have to manage: spring training, regular season, September call-ups, and then the postseason. This is what an experienced manager sounds like and looks like. It's unbelievable to me how other teams wouldn't want to hire more real managers. It doesn't make any sense. And all this, he's too old school, Sal. He's not going to do the analytics stuff. He's not a data applicator. Yeah, you're right. He's not a data applicator, but he does use data. He's a manager who uses all the information possible, which is exactly what you want. That was thrown out the window yesterday when Buck was basically saying, look, I love the information. I want more of it. Baltimore, they couldn't afford it. We didn't even have an analytics department. And you wonder why you can't win a World Series or compete against teams like the Yankees or, the Red Sox, whatever. So that is what a real manager sounded like yesterday. He's going to be a great in-game tacticianist, or whatever you want to talk about it. His moves in game are going to be second to none, and everybody's going to be questioned. It happens all the time where, I don't like this or I don't like that. That's just part of baseball, where we always second guess man. It's part of the fun. But to have a real life manager making those moves, it does take the, that's the other thing that I love from it, what he said. It does take the excuses away. You take the excuses out of it. With the moves that the Mets have made, now there's no more excuse of, oh, well, look at the manager, and he doesn't know what he's doing, rookie manager, and now you have that, and we can rip Rojas, and it's cost him 5-10 games, whatever it's been with Luis Rojas. We don't have to worry about that with Buck Showalter. So it was refreshing to see and hear, and although it was awkward at times, and I hate this Zoom stuff. Enough of it. Especially a big deal like that. You're hiring a manager as established and experienced as Buck Showalter. Shouldn't be a now, I understand that the logistics of it, especially where we're going now with the numbers rising with COVID cases and impacting sports and obviously just the rest of the world as well. But it does take away from it feels like a big event when you have these press conferences normally. With the Zoom stuff, it kind of dummies it down a little bit. And it's awkward, and there's the delay, and there's, he's not even here to put the jersey and the hat on and take pictures and address the media face-to-face. It's Zoom to Zoom. So that's annoying, and I think that did take a little bit away from it. But if you listen to the message from Buck Showalter, you should be pumped up as a Met fan and maybe a little annoyed as a Yankee fan thinking, what is my team doing? The Mets go out there and they get our former manager, a real manager. They didn't mean business. And a Yankee fan wanted Aaron Boone out of here. Now, I like Aaron Boone, and I think it was the right move to keep him ultimately. Yankees on the same day. It's bizarro world. On the same day the Mets hire Buck Showalter to be their manager, the Yankees release their coaching staff. Barely a name on there that you'd recognize. I mean, obviously, Boone, Rojas, and Eric Chavez. Ooh. Where's the experience? But I just thought that the timing of it was funny. One more point on Buck here before we get to your calls, 877-337-6666. And again, we'll get to the NFL. We'll get to the Knicks from last night. There's so much to get to. We'll talk to Kyle Rudolph at 11:15 and Tiki Barber at 12:40 as well. Do more football with those guys. But for a guy in his 60s to show that dedication, and I thought the money quote was really from Sandy Alderson talking about how, you have to adapt and all those different things. But, for a guy who's been in baseball as long as he has to still have that curiosity and passion and determination, whatever it was, I'm paraphrasing from Sandy Alderson, basically saying that for somebody at his age to still have that love of the game and be willing to ask questions and learn, that it shows you age is just a number. It doesn't really matter. And I loved when Buck said his wife, and I think this was with Carton and Robertson, not the Zoom, where Buck said his wife, caught him, I guess, doing whatever work he was doing and said, it started already, hasn't it? It's begun already. He loves it. He lives for it. This is not let me go cash my check and sit back and, take the $3 million and run with it. He doesn't care about that. He wants to win. He loves his job. One goal, World Series. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. As he said, it's very hard, but they want to be the last team standing. He knows that. He knows the pressure that comes along with it, being in New York with those expectations, and he's ready for the challenge. Not only that, he's diving all in. Feet first, head first, whatever. Cannonball. Already can't wait to talk with Jeremy Hefner a little bit longer about the pitching and their plan. I mean, this is what he lives for. Coaches coach, managers manage. He is a manager. This is what he's going to do. And you have to love it. The Yankees, on the other hand, no, not that they don't give that same prep. Of course that they do, but it's just a little different where the Yankee fan is the one looking. I saw a bunch of the comments on Twitter. The Yankee fan is looking at the Mets saying, well, what are they? They're doing exactly what I want to do. I want to hire Buck Showalter. I want to hire a real manager. Why can't our team do that? Why can't our team go get Max Scherzer? A role reversal, at least in the offseason. Come in season again, sure, the Mets win 78 games, the Yankees win 95 and go on to the postseason. We've gotten far too used to that. But yesterday was a day to, all the build-up for a couple of weeks. Yesterday was finally there, as we said before. It was Merry Buckmas, and you unwrapped the present. Well, you got to see that present. And now, that's it for a while with baseball, with the lockout. We have to just sit and wait. Are the Yankees ever going to get their shortstop? Are the Mets going to make any more moves? But all the moves now have been made. Sid is calling from Riverdale. What's up, Sid? Hey, Sid. Sid is not ready for us right there as he got us on hold. That was awkward. 877-337-6666. With baseball now, we wait. And you go to turn our attention to football and the other sports that are significantly impacted by the COVID stuff right now. Boy, that's another reason why I want to talk about baseball. You don't have to deal with the COVID stuff. And the quality of play. If you watched those games last night, as I did, and had the DirecTV going for the Rams and Seahawks, and was watching the Washington football team and the Eagles, it's just a shame that at a point in the season where it's so important that the competition level has been dummied down like that. Sid, we'll get more into that later. Sid, are you paying attention now? Sid in Riverdale. What's up, Sid?
Hey, what's up, Sal? How are you?
Good. What's up?
I'm a true Yankee fan. I've been a fan since the early '80s. I'm glad the Mets hired Buck Showalter. That's a real manager. And look, as a Yankee fan, where are we going? We talk about the manager. Oh, we suck, and we got to do better. But in the meantime, where are we going? What's our direction? I don't see any direction.
Well, what do you mean? The Yankees
team.
The Yankees have. Well, they have direction. It's just, look, they got to get some more players. We know that, Sid, and thank you for the call. All that for that. The Yankees have direction. They need to make some moves. Unfortunately, they didn't do it the way that we wanted to in a timely fashion before the lockout. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to go out there and get a shortstop. That doesn't mean that they're not going to go out there and add to their ball club and get a first baseman, potentially a center fielder. Now, they didn't get the top ones on the market, which is something we're not accustomed to seeing with the Yankees. Usually with the Yankees, they go out there and get the best of the best. And there's only two guys left in Story. I wouldn't want Trevor Story, although at this point, better than nothing. Correa's the guy. Are the Yankees going to make that big splash and get Carlos Correa? Joe is calling from Clark. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Sal? Happy holidays, buddy.
You too, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, real quick, I don't want to rain on the. I'm a diehard Mets fan. I live in, I bleed blue and orange. But here's my problem. I love the fact they got Buck. To me, it was Buck or bust. That was my campaign.
Sure.
No question about it. But the thing is, here's the thing, Sal, and I hate. I've been a fan for 35 years. It's just that I bought him before. I mean, it's just I'm so worried. They better finish the job now. Finish the job. If you can't get Chris Bryant, you've got to bring in at least two more bats. Atlanta is so much more better offensively than the Mets. I'm so worried, Sal, that they're not going to score enough runs. I mean, I've seen this movie. How many times?
No, but you don't know that. First of all, I'm not going to disagree that they couldn't use another bat, but you can't just say they're not going to score. But it's not like they're in. Hey, Joe,
Sal,
this team
see, I think differently. I don't think Lindor is going to be the player he was anymore. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. So if that's the case, you have one guy who's going to hit 30 home runs guaranteed, probably is Alonso. They have like 5 or 6 guys on Atlanta. Are you kidding me? I mean, how many times did Mets just don't score enough runs, Sal? We've been saying, I've been calling you for years. They don't score enough runs.
I get it, but they did change the lineup. Now's not the time to be worried. Worry about that in season. Right now, going in there, not bad, Joe, and thanks for the call. They added Marte, a real center fielder. They brought in Escobar, who should be able to replace what you would expect from Javi Baez. Maybe not as powerful as Baez, but maybe more consistent. And an overall better offensive player. Canna in right field. Look at what Conforto did last year. The Mets are eliminating the excuses or the question marks. Where it's Conforto, what's he going to be going into this year? You can't take that chance anymore. Or Jeff McNeil, is he going to bounce back this year? Or J.D. Davis, guys who have shown potential but have ultimately disappointed and been way too inconsistent. Well, they've eliminated those guys, at least from being relied upon heavily, by bringing in some real professional major leaguers. Lindor's got to bounce back. If he doesn't, big-time problem. They also will have the benefit of the DH. Now, who that is, yet to be seen, but let's say Robinson Cano. Cano should help this team offensively. They have gotten better on paper, and we've heard this before. They have gotten better, the Mets have, on paper, offensively. I believe they're one more bat from not making it a complete lineup, but one more bat from really taking it to this team right now is, and no team's ever perfect, but they're as built can be going into the year. Injuries, poor performance, whatever. Things like that you can deal with, address at the trade deadline. and see how you'd get better. But still going in right now, they're in good shape. And you talk about the Braves and how great offensively they are. They lost their best player in Acuna Jr. and still won the World Series. And it's not like there's some kind of juggernaut offensively. And also, they didn't have the pitching that the Mets have. Sometimes it's weird the way it works, man. You get a hot team. Braves are playing well. Nobody thought they'd beat the Dodgers. I don't even know how many people thought they'd beat Milwaukee. And they did. And they go on and win the World Series. Incredible. People even think they would do that. So even after they beat the Dodgers, they're going to be able to beat the Stros and win the World Series? E. Frank calling from Astoria. What's up, E. Frank?
Yes, what's up, Sal? I'm calling this morning because I'm a little bit curious about the fact that they waited 4 seasons when, they had Rojas, they had the Mets sale. I mean, they waited for all these things to happen to decide to give the call to Buck Showalter. And I'm just wondering, why did they wait so long if Buck Showalter is an experienced manager? He's been almost 20-plus years doing this type of work, and they decided to just call him now and save the Mets' woes. Do you have any insight on why they took so long and allowed the Mets to lose so many games?
Well, number one, and I was surprised, E. Frank, and thank you for the call. Number one, it is a different ownership, and that means different money. I don't believe that Fred Wilpon, let's say, would have been opposed to hiring Buck Showalter. I do believe that the Mets were trying to go in a less expensive, different direction along with the poor teams in baseball. I mean, there's no other way to mince words. The Mets weren't operating like a major league franchise. Let's hire Brodie Van Wagenen and get creative and bring in managers who've never managed before. I think there was an element to that. The one thing I was surprised at more than anything was hearing that Sandy Alderson tried to hire Buck Showalter before he went to the Diamondbacks in 1998. Alderson was working with the Athletics at the time. He tried to hire Buck as a manager of the A's back in 98. So then you're right. Well, something doesn't add up. Why the hell is Alderson trying to hire Mickey Callaway if Buck Showalter is available? Or, I mean, it's different with Van Wagenen, I guess I was going to say years later. What was the time? Callaway got hired in 18, was it? So maybe Buck was still with the Orioles at the time. Maybe he wasn't available at that particular time. He was available when the Mets hired Rojas or Beltran and then Rojas to replace Beltran. So maybe just Van Wagenen wanted to go, hey, you know what? I'm an agent. I'm not going to hire a real manager. I need somebody who I can control a little bit. But I was surprised with Alderson saying that he tried to hire Buck Showalter before. I think that's a great thing. And obviously it didn't work out in 98. Didn't have the opportunity to do it with Buck being with the Orioles when Callaway was available. Not that he would have. Who knows? Maybe at that point the Mets are still looking for somebody that could do it long term. It's a different team now with a short window. 3-year deal.